There's those stats that say 80% of all businesses fail within the first year, and then a further 80% of those businesses that do survive the first year fail within the first 5 years, and that's massive. And even though I thought I knew a lot, I realised there was a lot that I didn't know, but you don't know what you don't know until you don't know it. We reached a point where I didn't know how to grow that business any further, and I was stuck, and I didn't really know who to turn to for advice.
Because we were outsourcing a lot of our web design work, it just wasn't working, was it? And
No.
we were looking at something.
I've been looking for a system that we could utilise to sort of, tack on, as it were, to our existing marketing business. You know, in that first year, we did 100 websites, which was just,
Wow.
for us, astounding. You know what I mean? To be honest, why didn't we do this years ago? It's just, it made so much sense.
What's the downside then? It sounds almost too good to be true, right?
Downsides, maybe.
So, Nic and Sarah Johnson, welcome to the Disenfranchised. How are you doing today? That's one way to put your guests at ease, isn't it? Fantastic. So, how are you doing today?
We're good, Ed. Thanks for having us on. We really appreciate it.
Excellent. Well, it's a real pleasure, and for those that are listening in, they can't see it, but you've got a really stunning background there, and I'm spotting in the background one of my favourite bands when I was younger, Green Day. So, you Green Day fans?
Yeah, definitely. Going back to our student days, it was
Your student days.
well, our student days. Yeah, I mean, we saw them sort of pretty early on in the career, sort of like small venues and stuff. But yeah, we definitely like a lot of that sort of stuff.
Oh, awesome. That's really good to hear. That's my sort of music, so that's good. But anyway, let's jump into the questions then. And the first one I like to ask everybody is always, what was your first job? And I'm asking that to both of you, actually. I want to see both of your first jobs.
I mean, first jobs. I mean, obviously, before university, there's a range of first jobs, and they were weird. Anything from bingo caller to fetish saleswear was very strange. And working in record shops, things like that.
And you worked in a butcher's.
Oh, I did work in a butcher's. Yeah, that was a weird one. After university, though, mainly from my perspective, it's always been marketing and design, advertising, that sort of stuff. So my background is very much from a design perspective, and that's really probably what I've carried through to what we're doing now.
Me, I started off, I left school at 16 or 17, I can't remember which one it was, and I went into hairdressing.
Okay.
I was a hairdresser for 12 years until we had our first daughter. And then I was stay-at-home mum mostly.
Yeah, but I think with the hairdressing, it's one of those things that obviously that's rolled over into like customer service side of things, and it was quite high-end sort of people you were dealing with at the time. So it was interesting.
Yeah,
is that including celebrities and that kind of thing, or
not quite? Although the salon owner did work with celebrities in the
Back in the day.
in the day, in the 60s.
right? Okay, yeah. So did you enjoy that job, Sarah, or was that something that was just to bring the money in?
Yeah, no, I absolutely loved it.
Oh, okay.
It sort of like went a bit south when I got pregnant, should I say? So I knocked it on the head then.
but I think it was, you had the creative side through through hairdressing as much as the customer relationship skills that that you use now.
Yeah. No,
and I still do a little bit. I still do the girls' hair and Nic's hair, and
so save a few quid. It's gone up quite a lot in recent times, hasn't it? I've noticed.
Absolutely.
I think I paid £16 for my son to get his hair cut the other day, and I was like, wow, I'm sure it used to be a £5 or something like that. But
luckily for me, Ed, I've not paid for a haircut for about 25 years. So,
absolute bonus.
One of the bonuses of being married to an ex-hairdresser.
Excellent. And your first jobs, as you described them there, what a variety. I mean,
well, yeah, there's it's you do what you do, sort of early on. But I think from the design side of stuff, I was always that kid who was good at art at school, and so it probably naturally progressed down to down the design and marketing sort of route. as I got older.
So when did your career start to kick in, in kind of earnest then, Nic? After university, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it was. So like it's mid-90s after university, I sort of started working for design agencies. Started off as a junior graphic designer and then sort of working my way up. Eventually became studio manager of a company, and then sort of set up my own business going back to 2007. Started my own design and marketing agency back then.
Okay, excellent. So as a studio manager, is that sort of coming away from the tools, so to speak, and starting to kind of be more of a managerial type position?
Yeah, it was, and it's always that tough transition where you enjoy doing what you do, and I certainly enjoyed sort of working on the client work in terms of developing branding or producing literature or whatever it was, but all of a sudden you've got a team of 15 or 20 people to suddenly manage and work out how to get the best out of them. So that's always an interesting transition when you move from doing what you do to sort of managing people, which still has its issues nowadays probably, but it's an ongoing learning thing, I think, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Excellent. So was the business that you started up after that then, was that a joint venture thing between the two of you? Was that solely your project, Nic?
I think it started off as mine. Basically, I got to a point in my career where I couldn't really progress any further, without sort of either taking over the business I was in or doing something completely different. So I made the decision, if I'm going to do it, I'll do it now, and I'll set up a business. And in hindsight, it was a terrible time to start a business because it was 1 year before the financial crash of 2008. But you never know things like that at the time. But, you do it, and it's a steep learning curve. And we probably learned a lot in that first year.
Made a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, made some good, got some good clients, made some good money, made a lot of mistakes, learned from those mistakes, and just progressed.
Them. Until I came on board.
There is that, yeah. So I mean, you were sort of involved with the business at that stage, but not to the level that you are now with the franchise that we have. So you've always sort of been a part of things, but no, I was probably ploughing my own furrow at that point and not doing as well as I could have been.
Fantastic. So what made you decide to start your own business? Because, for a lot of people, that's quite a scary proposition to kind of leave the world where, as a studio manager, I'm assuming you were on fairly good money, right? At that point in time, quite comfortable. It sounds like maybe you had kids around that time or planning a family or something like that. So, these are decisions that most of us sort of think about, and a lot of people just kind of go, no, I'll stick with the safety, thanks. So what made you take that decision?
Yeah, it's a good one, actually, because you're right, it was scary. And, it took a lot of guts to try and sort of come to that decision. I think the business I was working in at the time, it sort of, it just got to a dead end. There really wasn't anywhere I could take it. And there were sort of promises made that didn't sort of come off, which was frustrating from my point of view. And it just got to the point where I thought, well, what do I do? You're right. I was on a very, very good wage. I was making a lot of money, but I was probably working 80, 90 hours a week. And I thought that, going on my own, sort of setting up and starting my own business, I might be able to get sort of a little bit more balance in my life and a little bit more freedom.
Yeah, because you were at home. You didn't see the girls, did you, when they were tiny? And...
Yeah, true. You sort of, it was very much a corporate career. I was sort of, I was flying off sort of for meetings around Europe and across to the States, and sort of, working weekends to sort of run basically somebody else's business. Yeah. So, but you think, well, hold on, if I'm doing this, even though I'm getting paid well, I'm making a lot of money for other people, maybe I should transition and sort of see what I can do myself. And there's always that, I know it's not the right way to think, but, at that point, you always think, I could always go back to paid employment at that point, or I could freelance.
It's always an option, isn't it?
It was. I mean, now I think I'm probably unemployable, but back then it was an option. I think, yeah, maybe so.
Brilliant.
So you start off, and again, I think it's that transition. It's making a transition, and a little bit like it is with franchising. I took the step first to freelance for other design agencies, so that I had that balance between starting to get my own clients and build my own business while relying on sort of working with more established businesses to sort of kick things off. I mean, after 6 months of doing that, it just sort of transitioned over to I'd managed to acquire enough of my own clients that would sort of keep the mortgage paid, keep everybody fed, sort of and make some money. And it was, although it was tough, and it was hard.
It was the best thing you did, though.
It was a weight off.
Yeah.
So I think, sometimes paid employment, great, you've got that security, but, there's a lot of pressure and, you're working for other people and not maybe reaping the benefits that you could, by working for yourself.
Yeah, for sure. And I think it's that's kind of the attractive parts, but it's the uncertainty of having that money coming through. And I guess you kind of bridge that gap by doing a bit of freelancing at the same time, right? Which is probably quite sensible, but quite challenging at the same time, because you're then kind of gone from working for one person to now working for multiple people, and it's I guess it must be challenging for your who am I, what am I doing, where am I going, but what you mentioned, you made some mistakes. I just wondered what one or two of those mistakes might have been that you've now learnt from.
Oh, there were plenty. I think the first one, and again, it's something that we've tackled with the franchise now, but back then it was very much feast or famine. So, you'd get a client, or you'd have a couple of clients, and you'd do a big project and then nothing. And then there'd be another big project and then nothing. So it was a real sort of roller coaster of, great, we've got a ton of money. Oh, bugger, we've got no money. And then we've got a ton of money and then no money. And so, managing that, managing sort of work coming in, and that constantly having to be on the lookout for new business and manage the business and try and keep that consistent, that was tough. And I think it was tough all the way through. And again, financially, having quickly to sort of learn those financial lessons of, great, you've got a chunk of money in, but realistically you need to put aside money for VAT, for corporation tax, for PAYE, for paying the employees, for paying your suppliers. And actually, not all that money is yours to spend willy-nilly as you'd like. There's certainly, you've got to quickly become, adept at sort of managing your finances, quickly become adept at being a business development manager, as well as the doer of everything in your business. There's a lot to take on when you first start. And I think sometimes, without the support, and I don't think there was a great deal of support back then, business-wise, in terms of like business organizations, you've got a steep learning curve to sort of work out what to do. And even though I thought I knew a lot, I realized there was a lot that I didn't know, but you don't know what you don't know until you don't know it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the reason why there's a high failure rate in small businesses, right? Is all of a sudden they start to realise there's a lot more to it than just the thing that they want to do, like whether it's, I don't know, baking a cake or something like that. That's just one element of running that business. And probably the smallest, easiest bit of running the business is the doing, right? Apart from time-wise, but...
Massively. And I think, there's those stats that say 80% of all businesses fail within the first year. And then a further 80% of those businesses that do survive the first year fail within the first 5 years. And that's massive. And I think, obviously there's a book called The E-Myth by, is it Michael Gerber? Where he talks about how you have to learn not to be just the doer in your business, but like you've got to wear the hat of becoming the business owner, and how you manage that. And it's that transition from basically having a job, doing what you do, to being a business person who can manage that business going forward. And it is, as I say, there is a steep learning curve. There's a lot more support out there now, and there's a lot of good books that sort of cover this. But, when you first start out, there's a lot that you don't know, or, you don't even know where to look to find that out.
Yeah. And I guess, like you mentioned before, that's maybe where franchising or investing in a franchise can help out, right? But so I wanted to find out, before we kind of go into what you're doing right now, how long did you have that business for? And did it get to a point where you felt, actually, this is successful?
Yeah, good point. We had that business for 10 years before we discovered the franchise side of things. And over that period, it really was that roller coaster. So, we did have a lot of failures early on, and that was really tough. You know what I mean? From having to sort of, at one point sort of come back and work from home again, and then back out to find new offices. At one point, we built the business up to £500,000 turnover. We were working with huge international clients, again, sort of flying around the world, sort of filming and creating marketing content for them. And I think we got to a point where we reached a point where I didn't know how to grow that business any further. And I was stuck, and I didn't really know who to turn to for advice. And I wasn't sure what to do. So I decided at that point that the best thing to do would be to merge with another business, because then I'd have the resources or the backup to be able to grow and sort of take that further. I did that, and it was probably one of the worst mistakes I made, because it really wasn't what I was looking for at all. And I realized that after sort of, basically, going to that company, deciding that, I wanted to bring our business over and sort of merge it with theirs, that I had made a mistake. And literally within a few weeks of being a director of that company, I said, look, this really isn't for me. And, I realized at that point I had to step back. And I essentially came back home, working from the spare bedroom, and started again from scratch, thinking, right, what am I going to do? I'm going to retain a few clients that I've got at the moment, enough to sort of keep us going. And it was trying to decide, right, what do I do now? And it was at that point that, like a year or so after that point, that we'd looked into finding a support mechanism, and we stumbled across the franchise that we've found now.
Yeah. Okay. So when you say stumbled across it, did you go out there searching for franchises specifically, or was it just, how can I build a business with support?
Yeah, it was the latter rather than the former. We weren't looking for a franchise. In fact, I, for whatever reason, it hadn't even crossed our mind that it would be a viable route to go down. And it was only by chance through another networking group that we heard about the franchise that we're in. And we looked at that and dismissed it and thought, no, you know what, that's not for us. I don't think that's a good idea. And it was 6 months later, I sort of just had a thought that actually looked into it a bit more, and I could see possibilities that maybe weren't being utilized, or it had potential that I didn't think was maybe or being pushed out, not just by the franchise, but maybe by the other people who were within that business at the time. And I thought, you know what, let's take a look and see if it's a good fit for us. And so it really was. It was accidental, to be quite honest. It was, but fortuitous, but definitely an accidental find. I'd say.
What was it that made you think, no, this isn't for us?
I think initially the way that I perceived the franchise was that it was maybe set up just for, not for the types of clients that we wanted to work with, or that maybe it was just sort of like something that people who were involved in the franchise were just doing, maybe as a sideline for, coming up to retirement, or just, I don't know. Maybe, at that time, that messaging wasn't as strong as it is now, because I think things have changed a lot. And certainly since we came on board, I think things have certainly changed in the way that that's perceived. Definitely. But I don't know, what your thoughts, Sarah?
I don't know. I think we originally, because we were outsourcing a lot of our web design work, it just wasn't working, was it? And you were looking at something.
I'd been looking for a system that we could utilise to sort of, tack on, as it were, to our existing marketing business. And I thought that something like the franchise would maybe, we'll do that as a test. Maybe it'll be 10% of what we do. It turned out it absolutely started flying and became 100% of what we do, which was a surprise to us. But I think, it's one of those things that we were determined to make it work. And, when you have that determination and that sort of vision to sort of succeed with it, all of a sudden it just blew up, didn't it?
So,
Yeah.
So Sarah, you mentioned there you were outsourcing to, web design to somebody else. Was this to like freelancers or to another business? What was that kind of relationship like?
It was a guy that you were in contact with, really, wasn't it? But then it was hit and miss because he was doing it on the side and he was working, so you never knew when it was going to come back. Then if there were any amends, it was always a bit of a nightmare, wasn't it? There were just it was ridiculous, really. And
we'd had our own employees before that. We'd employed developers, and this guy was one of our ex-employees. He was great, but he was hard to get hold of, and it's something that we hear time and time again now, with people with their design agencies. Oh, I can't get hold of them, or they don't get back to me.
Recently,
and we just, that's not what we wanted. We wanted something that was going to be reliable, something that we could potentially at the time we thought just white label and push out. But, it was tough. And then you look at what we were spending on paying for freelancers, or, what it would cost us to employ full-time, a developer, as we had done before. Those costs are quite big, certainly compared to a franchise.
Yeah. So that's something that's really interesting to me. So you're not necessarily looking at this as you weren't looking at this as, okay, this is how we now set up our brand new business and we're going to go out and do just this. You were thinking about, right, let's bolt this onto what we're doing. And actually the managed service fees or royalties are going to be lower than if we paid for a freelancer or a member of staff. Yeah. That's quite an interesting way of looking at it, because a lot of people that, invest in a franchise business, it is their first foray into, self-employment or being their own boss.
I think it's one of those, you're right, it is a different way of looking at things. And I think a lot of the time when people are maybe looking to start up business, they don't realise the associated costs that you get with employing somebody. So that it's not just, if you're paying them 25 grand a year, it's not just that 25 grand. You've got sick pay, holiday pay, PAYE, pension payments, everything else on top of that. That person's potentially going to be costing you 32, or 34 grand a year. And trying to work out the time that you get out of them. And then you've got to sort of try and tally that against what you're paying or what your fees are with the franchise. And to us, it was a no-brainer. Yeah, and you're right. I think we because we thought it was only going to be a small part of our business. I think prior to doing what we're doing, like when we were doing web design, we were maybe doing 4 or 5 a year, but we were doing websites that were quite sort of quite big. We were probably charging anything from 3, 4, 5 grand upwards compared to the price point that we're at now. And so we just thought, oh, it'll just be a few. But because we really, once we're committed to doing something, we really want to do it, and we could see the potential in it. We didn't realize how big that potential would be. And, as I say, just, from what we thought would be 10%, in that first year, we did 100 websites, which was just, wow. For us, astounding. You know what I mean? We hadn't, we thought maybe...
We had that as a goal though, didn't we?
We did have that as a goal. And again, goal setting is probably, a big part of what we looked at when we took this on. If we're going to take on a franchise, we're going to have clear goals as to what we want to achieve. How are we going to do that? What are we going to put in place? Actually, the pair of us, sat down and probably planned out that first year. In fact, before we took it on, we had a 1-year plan, a 2-year plan, a 5-year plan, a potential 10-year plan. And those have sort of, grown over time as we've done this. And, I think it's, again, trying not to come into this blindly. Anybody who sort of is looking to go down this route, it's like, just try and work out what it is that you're looking to achieve. Would you say?
Yeah, definitely.
Excellent. So, Sarah, you understands Nic's background's all kind of the design side of things and understands that well, perhaps. So, how do you kind of fit into the business now? What's your kind of role?
I liaise with clients. I set up meetings. I chase for business. Any leads that we get in, I'm on it and I'm calling them straight away. I have like a sequence of emails that I send out so that I don't forget anybody. I've got a system where it allows me to track and follow up as well. But yeah, there seems to be quite busy. There's a lot to it. And like I say, when you've got 250 live websites, that's a lot to manage in itself. But then, like I say, bringing in new clients is one of my main focuses.
Okay. And is that something you find difficult, and do you receive any support from the franchisor themselves?
I think when I say find difficult, I think it's something that when we first started, you've really grown into this role.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of those that, as we've developed, you've become more adept and experienced at managing that. So I think, you're like a terrier when it comes to sort of like following people and sort of, yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice, thanks. But no,
I like terriers, by the way, just in case.
We have got a miniature schnauzer.
But yeah, you are.
I don't give up. I'm very persistent. And it's one of those things that I think a lot of people get scared. I've had conversations with people and they're like, oh, I'm really scared in case I miff people off, or whereas I'm not bothered. I will carry on until they tell me to go away, and because you've got to be that first person if somebody's looking for a website and you've contacted them consistently over months, you're going to be the first and foremost in their mind. So hopefully then they'll go, right, okay, we'll now engage with you.
Yeah, so it's kind of a marketing and being consistent with your marketing, which you're doing. And I think you're completely right. I always think of that like the Chinese takeaway leaflets you get through your door for years, and they just go in the bin until the day that your favourite takeaway place fails you for whatever reason. Bad meal, they shut down. You then go to one of those leaflets that come through your door and give them a try, right? It's that kind of...
Yeah.
It is. I think, again, there's sort of research out there that says that there's only 3% of people who are ready to buy now. Yeah. So you're not going to ignore the 97% that aren't ready to buy now. It's about consistently sort of keeping in front of those and sort of,
It's so many touches, isn't it? I think it went up massively, didn't it? It used to be something like 7, and then it went up to, what was it, 30 odd?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm just going to keep going.
It works.
Until they say, Sarah, bugger off.
Fantastic. So tell me a bit more about the support you receive from It's Easy websites, the franchisor.
It's probably one of the main reasons that we decided to join a franchise was for the support aspect, because going back to that previous point, there's no way for the franchise fee that you could, employ that range of people that are going to help you out. So, you've got the marketing side in terms of like the help that they'll sort of offer, all the ideas that they'll come up with for things that they do. I mean, we do a lot of our own marketing campaigns, to be fair, but it's there if you need it. You've got business development support, so they're checking in with you all the time to sort of make sure that you're keeping on track, how things are going. You've got a domains team and a support team who are sort of like, they'll deal with all those horrible technical issues that you really don't want to do. Yeah. You've got a team of designers and developers who are there to sort of, I'm not a coder. I can design and I can I know how a website should work, but be able to pass those instructions on to a team of really talented girls and blokes who can just pull that together exactly as you like. That's a godsend.
And the finance department.
Yeah, the finance department are great, you know what I mean? Because brilliant. They'll chase stuff up for you. To be honest, why didn't we do this years ago? It's just, it made so much sense. And because you get to know everybody, because you become on first name terms with people, because you can pick up the phone and have a chat or just drop them an email, it feels to us like we've got a huge team of people, supporting us, without the overheads that go with that. It's like being a big web agency, but without paying to be a big web agency. For us, it's like, really, really the best route forward.
What's the downside then? It sounds almost too good to be true, right?
Downsides, maybe. There aren't really many downsides, and it's I'd be picky if I was looking to do that. You know what I mean? Because to be honest, they've always given us the freedom to run with ideas, and they've been very open to ideas and campaigns or anything that we've had. In fact, through conversations with the directors or the team there, we've looked to sort of, when we've had ideas maybe about new website packages or new features that we can roll out, they've listened, they've done the research, and they've come back to us and said, right, okay, yeah, we'll go with that. And to be honest, I couldn't really ask for much more in terms of, that sort of support and backup that they've given. So yeah, it's actually hard to be picky.
I know I was putting you on the spot there. But no, it's good. I mean, I think sometimes people within a franchise brand can feel quite restricted by the franchisor because you invest in a model that is to be followed, right? Here's how the business works. Follow this model. But it sounds like there's a bit of leeway for you to make suggestions and for changes to be implemented if it's the right thing for the business overall. So that's really good and interesting to hear. I'm going to try another angle then instead. So WordPress, Wix, there's lots of sites out there already, right, for your potential clients that they could go out there and set something up themselves. So why would they come to you guys over these platforms that are out there that have got templates where they can just kind of, quickly set something up?
Yeah, I mean, we get that a lot, and that it comes up in meetings. But I'm a big fan of letting people do what they do when they're good at it, and so that having that speciality. I would not want to work on my own car. I don't want to, I don't want to do my own accounts, even though I have to. I outsource as much as I can. That isn't in my forte. So why anybody would want to go and utilize the third-party platforms are fine. Yeah, well, actually they're not. They're pretty crap, to be honest. But it's just when you come to us, you've got that whole sort of you've got my 30 years of design knowledge. I've worked in web design for over 25 years. I've seen trends come and go. I know how a good website should work. I know, the marketing mechanics behind that. I can then sort of brief our team on how that should look, and it's all done for you. You're not having to sort of struggle to build it yourself. We've picked up clients before who've, signed up to WordPress or gone to Wix.
They've been doing it a year. It's taken them a year to get even a tiny bit off the ground, and they go, I'm fed up now.
Yeah,
we'll come to you.
It is, It's why struggle? Why would you want to struggle doing that? If it's your forte and you want to build that, great. There are platforms out there for you to do that, and utilizing them would be fine. But it's a template site. You're not getting a bespoke build like you would with us.
They're not getting the support.
No, and they're not getting the knowledge as to how best to optimize that going forward. It's not just a case of building a website and going, there you go. When they work with us, they're getting that ongoing support. They're getting the advice. They're getting check-ins and reviews regularly. We'll sort of do whatever we can to help their business grow, because it's in our best interest that they succeed. Because when they succeed, they're going to tell all their clients and suppliers, do you know what? You need to chat to these people about a website. So, and you don't get that with a self-build platform.
Well, I was asking, knowing full well the answer, because I've done it myself. So I went out there and built my site on Wix, and I was quite happy with it, to be honest with you, until I came up to a point where I wanted to change something that wasn't within their templated structure. And it fell down because I couldn't contact anybody. I had nobody to say, how do I create this? Could you help me to do this? I want to talk through my options. It wasn't really out there. I tried looking for a freelancer. That wasn't really easy to do either. And then I spoke to the It's Easy head office guys and was like, look, this is the situation I'm at. And they said, well, we'll help you. We'll either build something bespoke to fulfill that need, or we'll see if we've got something already within the platform to make it work. So that for me has been invaluable, just to share it from the client's perspective.
It's good to hear, because we get it a lot, and I think probably we spend a good proportion of our time in terms of just offering advice and help and sort of, like pointing people in the right direction. I think it's that thing that, at any point, any of our clients can pick up the phone and we'll get through to me, to you, to Liv. And if they can't get through to any of us directly, we've got people answering the phones all the time. We can get through to any of the guys at the head office. And that, that to me is just sort of like, the benefit of what they get.
And we've actually picked up quite a few clients on that basis. There's a lot of companies that, like people have said to me, like, I've tried calling these people, but they don't answer the phone. They're never there. They don't communicate. Whereas we are there all the time.
Yeah. There's always somebody that you can get hold of, and you've got online support, and you've got sort of backup, and, we've got resources, there's lots of things there to sort of help, which I don't think you get many places, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's good. And from the looks of things, you do this from home as well, right? You don't have an office or anything like this where you have to rent out. So, it's probably a low-cost business for you to run as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we in the past, we've had the sort of the posh offices and everything, and all the overheads that go with that. And if I'm honest, none of our clients were bothered. Hardly anybody ever came out. They never came out to see us at their posh offices. You know what I mean? It was, and these, since we've sort of, we've created our own home office. We've got a separate sort of converted garage out the back behind the house where we can work from. Liv, she's based in Leeds and she works from home. And I know a lot of the rest of the team are still sort of remote working. It works.
It does. And clients come out and see us, and they're not bothered that it's in our garden. So
and as long as we set those expectations, it's not an issue. And we've had some pretty big businesses out here, and it's not made a shred of difference to sort of how they perceive us. So for us, it makes sense, and we're seeing it as a trend. But there's some big design agencies locally who have gone down this route. It's it seems to be prevalent that a lot of people are just now much happier to work from home. We can catch up with the team, we can communicate whenever we need to. Everything's done pretty easily, I would say. So for us, it's a bonus. I do not want to commute again in my life if I can get away with that. Just hours wasted sat in the car.
So it's easy for you to run this business from home, right?
It certainly is. Yeah, and it makes sense. I'll say the only downside would be that because obviously we're married, we're working from home. We talk business a lot, and that's part and parcel of it just being what we do. But as long as we still manage to switch off and get away. So as long as you sort of realise that when you need to do that, you can do.
Yeah, we try and get away once a month, don't we?
At least, yeah.
Have a little van.
Yeah.
Nice. Excellent.
Turn off completely.
So you mentioned a team there. So do you employ staff underneath your franchise? And you mentioned, is it Liv or Liz as well?
Yeah. So we've got Liv, who's actually our eldest daughter. We did not want to be a family business to start with, but it's worked out that way.
It was their idea.
It was their idea, yeah. And she joined us a couple of years ago now. And for the first 6 months, I thought, this is tough. This might be harder work than I thought. And then it all clicked together, and she's been absolutely brilliant. So she's based in Leeds, and she works for us. But we do have a good team of sort of freelancers and suppliers that sort of back us up in terms of copywriting, photography, video, additional SEO work if required, sort of paid ads, things like that. So, and we've built those relationships over time, and that's been really handy that we now have a really good team of people that we can trust and introduce at any stage during the process. So, but as well as the people that we employ, again, we've always got the head office team to sort of back us up as well. And, for us, it just makes a world of difference.
Fantastic. And Leeds, so that's not your original territory, right? So your territory was Hull, and I think that's what your daughter's taken over, I think, if I remember from our earlier conversation.
That's right. I think, so we've been 5 years in the franchise, and we, when we came on board, it was like the whole and East Yorkshire region. And, we've sort of obviously put a lot of time into building that up, and the processes that were put in place, and the results that we've had have been, definitely above and beyond what we expected. And so it sort of made sense to think, right, okay, again, going back to that goal setting and the planning, where are we taking this? What are we doing? How do we grow beyond what we're doing now? And with Liv being based in Leeds, and we're often across there, for us, it's only 50 minutes down the motorway. To be honest, we already had clients out that way anyway. It made sense to think, right, okay, maybe we should look to secure a second sort of franchise area, and manage that with Liv heading that up, and her partner Mike, who's on board with learning everything and wanting to come on board in terms of sort of client relationships and everything else. So we thought, well, okay, there's an opportunity there to to expand and grow, and that's what we've just done. We've just started It's Easy Leeds, where it complements the It's Easy Hull business, and put everything in place there.
She was a little bit apprehensive, I think, because she's only 23. So I think at first, when we first suggested it, she was a little bit scared. But since we've taken the decision to do it, she's actually come on even further, hasn't she?
Yeah.
She's don't just joined a BNI group in Leeds. She really is. She's really stepping up to it, isn't she?
Yeah, into that whole sort of professional business role, which is what you want, because she's more than capable. It's just helping her see that she's capable of doing that. And again, awesome. She's not on her own, because it's all of us. It's all of us, the whole team and the Leeds team combined, supporting both areas, plus the backup of the head office team as well. So for us, it definitely makes sense.
Awesome. Sounds like it's really working well for you, and there's a really exciting few years ahead, at least anyway. So congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it is exciting. I think we're pleased to sort of be pushing it down this route, and again, it's just made our goal setting for the future even more focused in terms of what we want to achieve. So who knows? There may be more after this as well. But let's one step at a time. Just dominate the whole of the north of England. Yeah.
Why not? It's good to have those plans in place, and you never know where it might take you. And it might be your daughter who then takes over the rest of the north rather than you guys. You never know, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's cool. So I'm now going to move us on to the kind of last three questions I want to ask you guys, just because conscious of time, and I think we probably need to wrap up fairly soon. But the first one is, do you have any funny, strange, or weird stories that you're happy to share with us?
Do you know what? Well, I'm going to be boring and say, do you know what? Nothing weird, nothing funny, nothing strange.
It probably has been, but it's remembering it.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's
getting on.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, no worries. Well, we'll move on to the next question then anyway. Let's go for what's been your most proud or your most inspiring moment. And you can have one each if you want.
Yeah, I'm going to let you start on that one, because
personally, or I mean,
personally, I think
the first year that we set up the franchise, I entered into the New Women Franchise Award. Yeah. And I won it.
Oh wow! Awesome.
So just amazing. I never thought I would, because I think that was in the March-April time, and we'd only set up in the September.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Is that with the BFA? Was that with the BFA, the British Franchise Association Awards?
It was it was encouraging women into franchising, and it was we went down for a ceremony at the Waldorf Hotel in London, and sort of the award that you won was sort of backed by NatWest, and it was a UK wide award, and I think we'd done a lot, and you'd done a lot in that first year, and it was brilliant recognition of your achievements, I think, in that first year. So that was I was proud of you, to be honest.
I could tell, because you were crying.
I had a small tear in my eye, I have to say.
Oh, awesome. And how about for you, Nic?
I think it's just been for me just the achievement. It's what we've achieved in terms of growing the business. When going back to that earlier conversation, as I say, in my mind, I thought, don't want to be part of a franchise. It might be a nice little sideline for us, but the fact that we've together. You know, we've developed this. You know, we grew the business in terms of achieving those sales targets of 100 websites in the first year, which I don't think anybody else had done. In our third year of being in the franchise, we broke the then franchise record of selling. Was it 16 websites in 1 month?
Yeah.
You know, there are a lot of things that sort of like, you know, we felt like we were sort of breaking a number of records as we were going forward. You know, working with the franchise to develop a new package. Things like that have been really great because it's just helped us sort of focus and grow the business. And I think I'm just quite proud of what we've achieved in 5 years, and I'm really excited about what we're potentially going to go on to achieve, you know, with the additional territory.
Yeah, I think the number of websites that you guys seem to be churning seems insane for, you know, essentially a two-man team with some support around them that is kind of freelance or, you know, as and when you need it. It's pretty awesome, right?
It feels insane to us at a few times, to be honest. And it's and I think, you know, a lot of our focus has been on. It's great to do the sales, but obviously, you know, we realised quite quickly that there was a lot we needed to put in place to maintain those relationships and to sort of keep those clients happy and engaged. And, you know, we've spent a lot of time doing that because it's as important a part. It's not just about just getting new clients in. It's about managing and looking after your existing clients and making sure that, you know, they are looked after for as long as they choose to stay with us.
And Liv's been a main focus in that as well.
She has, she's been really good.
Website reviews with me, and yeah, she's really good at them.
Yeah.
And she's really good at upselling as well.
She is.
So yeah.
Excellent. Thank you very much for sharing that with us. And so on to my final question then, and that's if you were to be in front of somebody who is about to invest in a franchise, whether it's Easy or any others, and you're only allowed to give them one piece of advice, what would that one piece of advice be?
That's a good one.
Just bloody do it.
To be honest, there is always an element of that, you know what I mean? However, I think I would say it definitely helps to have a passion. Well, not a passion for what you do. You've certainly got to have an interest in doing what we do. You know, whatever franchise you decide to go down. If it wasn't for my design and marketing background, would we have chosen this franchise? No. You know what I mean? You've got to have some grounding, I feel, you know, whether it's in, you know, for It's Easy, you know, whether that's in design, marketing, you know, like sales or whatever it is that you're looking to do. I think that, you know, you've got to have a bit of that because without that passion for what you do, without that sort of, you know, determination to succeed, the goal setting that you put in place, I think you'll just maybe sort of wander through it, you know. So, you know, have some sort of focus and passion for being a part of the business that you want to join, I would say.
Awesome. I like both of those answers. Just bloody do it. And
definitely,
and something with passion. It's great. It's good stuff. So, Nic, Sarah, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a real pleasure speaking with you both and learning about your business journey with It's Easy, and excited to see what the future has in store for your daughter, really, because I feel like she's going to take over and it's going to be her empire one day. But yeah, real pleasure. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ed. Much appreciated. We'll
Take care.
Cheers. Bye.